Treasury. All the president's men and women throughout that thought this would not jeopardize Homeland Security. But access thinks they're right, and that the objections to this deal are based on prejudice, not on facts. Here with more on this hot topic is Hussein Ibish. He's Executive Director for the Foundation for Arab American Leadership. Sir, it's good to have you. Thanks for being with us today.
Good to be with you, Ron. Thanks.
Tom raised the point about the possibility of Al-Qaeda, staging some sort of infiltration. As difficult as it might be, still, there are concerns that Dubai, prior to 9/11, was a little bit loose with its own security, and a couple of hijackers came through there to get here. Why shouldn't we worry about that?
Well, because security is going to be run by the U.S. government. I mean, these ports have been operated by P&O, which has been a British-owned firm. P&O is going to continue to operate those ports, but the ultimate owner is going to be this Dubai-based company. So it's the same people are going to be effectively running the port, but just different ownership. And the point is, when the British-owned company was running the ports, and the same company now owned by people in Dubai is going to be running the ports, security is not outsourced to them. Security is still taken care of by the U.S. government. It's taken care of by the Coast Guard, by Customs, by various agencies within the Department of Homeland Security.
But you understand
this impression that people have that it's going to be somehow now turned over to Arabs to run security in an American port is simply false.
But you understand, some people are concerned who may not be entirely familiar with this entire process that 5 or 6% of all cargo in the United States is even expected, even though it's in a targeted fashion. It's viewed to be a vulnerable spot.
Well, I completely agree with that. No, I mean, that I agree with. And I think, you need to have a comprehensive solution, which we still haven't developed yet, one which is cost-effective and also effective in dealing with that vulnerability. And there's also the question of air cargo, and there are other issues that really need to be addressed. Plus, it's a legitimate question to ask whether you want to have foreign ownership of U.S. ports and whether you want to have private ownership of U.S. ports. All of that can be debated. But to raise these issues now because the ethnicity of the ultimate owner of this very large multinational, which has just purchased another multinational, which is going to continue operating ports in the U.S., because they're Arabs, now it's an issue I think is very unfortunate.
But it's also an election year.
Very bad message.
It's an election year, and you've got Congress, playing to the home team.
Sure. Yeah, there are demagogues who are demagoguing here, both Republicans and Democrats, Mr. Schumer, Mr. King. We understand that. But it's irresponsible because Americans have a very important relationship with UAE. In the piece you just showed, which was an excellent background on the issue, didn't mention that actually UAE is also important to us as a major part of OPEC. And in OPEC, there are 5 major producers, and 2 of them, Iran and Venezuela, are pushing not only to raise the price of oil generally, but to switch pricing maybe to euros. And it's countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and indeed the UAE, which are resisting that. That would hit every American in the pocketbook. So spitting on our allies and sort of saying to them, you're going to be second or third class citizens in the global market, as opposed to, say, Britons or Dutch or Australians, is really a terrible idea. And it's also based on really a total misunderstanding of what's going to happen in those ports, because it's going to look the same tomorrow as it did yesterday.
If an American were to go to Dubai, just to give us more background on what that one of the Emirates is like, it does appear we lost connection with our guest, Hussein Ibish, so we will thank him now and apologize for losing our signal at that point. Wait, actually, he's back. But if an American were to go to Dubai, what would he find?
Well, I think what he'd find is a place that might be, in a way, comparable to Las Vegas, in the sense that it's sort of a large, recently built city with lots of glitz and neon in the middle of a kind of a place where there wasn't much a little while ago. A lot of shopping malls, a lot of business, a lot of financial transactions, lots of expatriates from around the world, plenty of people from various parts of Europe, from the United States, Canada, Australia, lots of people from the Arab world and South Asia, all in the business of making money, as your piece said. And I think they'd find that there was a lot of fun to be had and a lot of money to be made.
Aside from that, just
but
very
at the
quickly,
same time, it's kind of isolated.
Is it easy for an Al-Qaeda member to get in and out of there and use Dubai as kind of a laundering platform, if you will, to go from one part of the world to another?
I think it was fairly easy to use the Gulf generally in the past, but I think there's been a lot of crackdown since 9/11, and then even more so since the Al-Qaeda attacks inside Saudi Arabia. And the U.S. government has specifically praised, actually, the UAE, the Treasury Department, Commerce Department, and others who worked on this question of shutting down terrorist financing, singled out the UAE as one of the most important allies in the war on terror, especially in the first couple of years after 9/11. So major progress, but obviously it's not airtight, of course.
Hussein Ibish, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time today.
Sure thing. Anytime. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you. Coming next, trend watching, some mixed